kind of overused phrase back home again in Indiana. But really, it's the only thing fitting. Is hello, everyone. Welcome to round number 5 of the 2020 NASA RallyCross Challenge season. We're at the Lucas Oil Raceway in Claremont, Indiana, getting ready for what should be another fantastic race. As this track stupidly tight around the Lucas Oil Raceway. 0.78 of a mile, uses turns 3 and 4 and turn 1 of the oval, cuts down into the pit lane, jump on the pit lane. Very tricky track to get right. As today's race, we do have a few less cars than normal. 18 getting ready to take part. 20 are entered, so we have 2 provisionals. Still gives us 4 heats, 6 laps apiece. Joker 1's top 2 will transfer. There's going to be 1 LCQ of 4 laps, 1 Joker. The top 2 will transfer, but we'll still have a 10 lap, 10 car, 2 Joker final. Coming into today's race in Indianapolis, we'll take a look at the points in just a moment, as Mark Magnus Okenhog leads us over Matt Hartley. But that doesn't mean that this series is getting any less competitive. Let's take a look in just a moment. Coming into today's race, it's Okenhog over Hartley, Robertson, Kraus, Kingsbury, Dipple, Aish, Gronquist, Mertz, Kingsbury, the top 10 in points. And perfect timing as we get ready to go racing in Indianapolis in heat number 1. Pole position, Jake Robertson. What else is new there? Jacob Harbert's back after a couple weeks off. Daniel Aish, Ray Kingsbury, and newcomer Travis Seymour for his privateer team. This is bound to be an excellent race. Under the lights in Indianapolis. As next week we go to Iowa, and the following week we're going to go out to Arizona, Wild Horse Motorsport Park and Wild West Motorsport Park, the 2 off-road tracks, as a return of the endurance rounds. As Robertson grids up, we rev up the engines to get ready for heat number 1 here in Indianapolis. Green flag. Off the line, Robertson gets a good start. Aish on the outside through oval 3 and 4 as we come off the corner to begin the first lap of the race. Looks like Jake Robertson, yes, makes me out to be a liar, leads us as we begin the race. As Aish nudges the 222 and clips the curb there in the 33 into Harberts, and it pushes Harberts off the road. So not a good start for Jacob Harberts, returning after a couple weeks off. And let me tell you, Jake Robertson loves this, as he's already out to a huge lead. Travis Seymour off the road in the 144. Into the hairpin, back out onto the oval. Jake Robertson pulling away already, ahead of Daniel Aish. And Ray Kingsbury, Travis Seymour, and Harberts recovering in the 80. Jokers are now allowed, so Kingsbury jumps to the Joker, tries to pip Seymour, holds him off. As 3 heats of 5 cars, the 4th heat will be 4 cars. That will give us our order throughout tonight's race. As we're going to go on board here, car number 222 of Jake Robertson. We can see how much of a lead that he's already built up. 1.8 seconds as we begin the 3rd lap of the race. Looks like Aish is going to Joker in the 33, but that really isn't going to mean anything, as we know Robertson stupid fast in the 222. It has gone his way the last 2 weeks really, but he got taken out in the first race in Norway. So it's finally beginning to go his way, and the momentum is shifting, which makes it very interesting, because As a result, he's getting very close in the championship standings. Still a couple races, still a couple points behind Oakenhog and Hartley. But if he gets those good performances throughout the middle portion of this season, who knows what will happen. It'll be very interesting to see, though, on those off-road tracks, because we know Robertson's stupid fast on the Rallycross tracks, and we do feature 2 of the off-road tracks in this season. And what's a little alarming is that when NASA Rallycross experimented with the Gymkhana rounds back in 2018, the asphalt rounds, there wasn't a lot of turnout. A lot of these guys love the Rallycross tracks. So word around the grid is there's a little bit of a worry to see who will come out for the off-road tracks. 2 to go for Robertson, 4.5 seconds ahead of Daniel Aish. Kingsbury second, Harbert's third, Harbert's fourth, sorry, Seymour in fifth. This is bad. This battle's getting interesting for the transfer spot between Aish and Kingsbury. I believe Kingsbury's actually faster than the Australian. From high above through the sweeper as Robertson comes out of the hairpin to take the white flag in heat number 1. So Robertson jokers on the last lap, handbraking through turn 1 there. And the young British driver 5.5 seconds out and away from the rest of the field. The gap on the bottom right there has consistently grown, and Ray Kingsbury, I don't think he's going to be able to get close to Aish to potentially make this final, but it will be interesting to see. Final corner, final braking zone really. And Robertson knows. Once again, the 222 wins heat 1 and the pole position, and Ken Block impersonation immediately for Robertson as he wins heat number 1. Transferring will be Daniel Aish as Ray Kingsbury, Harberts, and Seymour to the LCQ. We get confirmation on those results, and we start to begin heat number 2. As this is our grid for the second heat race. Magnus Oakenhog, points leader on pole position. John Dipple, his teammate, alongside him. Matt Kingsbury, Austin Derbyshire, and Jan Gronquist. So 3 of the LRL cars in this heat race, and one of them will not make it at the worst. Getting ready, green flag in Indianapolis. Side by side, Oakenhog with Dipple, rounding oval 3 and 4. Kingsbury high wide hands on the outside, but he can't make it happen. Dipple up top, closes the door, and he leads as we begin the race. Into turn number 1. Dipple leads over Kingsbury. Oakenhog now in third. Derbyshire runs it wide and battles with Gronquist for fourth. And this is not good for the championship leader. Granted, it's only 1 lap, obviously the start of lap 1, but when you get stuck in traffic, it is never a good thing. Kingsbury looks like he ran it a little bit wide there as we enter the sweeper. Through the hairpin, 3 and 4. Dipple, Kingsbury, Oakenhog, Gronquist, Derbyshire. So now jokers will be allowed, so we'll have to see the rotation here on the first opportunity. Top 2 do not, Oakenhog does. And this joker, very tricky. There's the commitment line there, just like Daytona. And if you get that wrong, Oakenhog clips the curb. You get that wrong, you do get a 10-second penalty. And these guys have been told that if the sim applies that penalty, there's no clearing it. As Dipple pulling away with Kingsbury in tow, Oakenhog a 1.5 seconds behind his teammate and the American Matt Kingsbury in car number 21. Dipple loves this. He's pulling away. He's struggled a couple weeks now, but he's pulling away. He takes to the joker in car number 34. Kingsbury follows him. Where is Magnus? There is Oakenhog in the 26. And the Norwegian's getting very close to Kingsbury. Dipple a second ahead of his teammate, or sorry, of Kingsbury, a further half second in front of his teammate over the jump. As we are coming to cross flags, as Derbyshire into the wall in the 64 in turn 1. So the Canadian former race winner not having a good day. He's the only one sim car here once again. No Kevin Gajdorsich. We haven't seen James South since Daytona. These three are under a blanket, and one of them will have to go to the LCQ as we take cross flags in Indianapolis. That is the gap. A car length between all three of them, as Kingsbury getting very close. I think he's quicker than Dipple, actually. As we look at the delta, it has shrank considerably, and Matt Kingsbury struggled over the jump there. The Ford gets better when the track wears in, so we'll just have to see what will happen in the next couple laps. Through the hairpin once again. This track very hard to get right. And John Dipple on board car number 34. The Englishman pulling ahead of the American and Norwegian, his teammate Magnus Okenhag. Remember, points leader with the red plate you'll see throughout the show. Okenhag to the inside of Kingsbury, tries to make it happen, closes the door in turn 1. Dipple very slow through turns 2 and 3. Kingsbury trying to capitalize, but he can't get the Ford down, the power down, out of turn 3. We're coming to the white flag in Indianapolis, 0.78 of a mile left in Heat 2. And it's the battle to see if the points leader will get into the final, or he'll have to go to the LCQ. I think we don't have to worry about Dipple. This is our battle in Indianapolis. 0.8 of a second. Okenhag gets close again, locks it up under braking in turn 1. I almost feel maybe Dipple might be slowing up Kingsbury into his teammate. We saw this back in 2017 with the MRT cars and Revolution Racing at St. Eustache. It's not an unknown tactic. Okenhag dives it into the sweeper. He's got to make something happen. Dipple, I think, is going to be winning this race. Okenhag to the inside, nudges the 21 of Kingsbury, pushes him wide to the hairpin, into the wall goes Kingsbury and around, and Okenhag will stop. Dipple's going to win Heat 2. Where is Kingsbury? Because Okenhag's letting him by. And great sportsmanship for car number 26. He'll have to go to the LCQ. Matt Kingsbury will transfer. And let's just to be sure here get confirmation as everyone finishes up. Our points leader, by 0.2 of a second, we'll have to go to the LCQ in Indianapolis. And there's only going to be one LCQ. So I think it's going to be about 10 cars going for 2 spots. So Gronquist, Derbyshire, Okenhag will be our LCQ runners from Heat number 2. Heat number 3, getting ready to go. Defending champion Philip Kraus, car number 1 on pole position. And then Cohen Attard, I do believe, in the 131. Chad Mikas in car number 9. And we're waiting for 2 more cars. We got a Subaru. It is Daniel McDonald. Only 4 cars in this heat in Indianapolis. Green flag. As we begin the first lap, Mikas into McDonald. Off of oval 4, Kraus leads. Attard getting close, sending it to the inside. And the Aussie on the Canadian into turn 1. Attard has the line, pushes Kraus into the wall. Mikas getting close as well in car number 9, the 2 Spark VR cars. They both hit the pit wall over the jump for the first time. And it looks like Mikas and McDonald came together over the jump. Let's see if we can potentially. We'll take a look real quick here. And McDonald over into Mikas and over the wall. So back to live pictures. This kind of seals that now, as it says McDonald is leading the race, but clearly he's not, as he ended up over the wall. So he will park, as clearly he cut the track. Kind of his own doing, kind of not, and Micus parks it as well. So, I mean, this heat race basically ran already, and it's really going to be a battle to see who will get the extra bonus point. Philip Kraus has a long shot in the championship. I want to say he's 4th off the top of my head. So, realistically, this point will only help him, as Cohen missed Daytona and had a couple rough races the last couple weeks in Norway. But we'll have to see if the Subaru MRT car, the factory car, is faster than the Motorless Motorsport car of Cohen Attard. As we take the 3rd lap of the race, Attard will joker. You'll notice there's really no joker delta. Kraus sneaks to the lead and closes the door, but runs it wide in car number 1. So we'll ride on board car number 1 of Philip Kraus. As we take 2 to go, Philip Kraus now 2 seconds ahead of Cohen Attard, as we could look on that track map there. Chad Micus still in the race, as he hasn't gotten much practice, so this is essentially his practice session now. As last lap, 40.598, Attard ran a 41.145, so 0.6 of a second faster is Philip Kraus over Cohen Attard. We haven't said Philip Kraus being faster than someone by that margin in a long time, but the Canadian, second all-time on the wins list in 4 Drivers' Championships, ahead of Cohen Attard in the 131. White flag, and he jokers. Now 3 seconds ahead of Attard. And what's interesting, I just heard that he told his teammate Mertz that was his first time through the joker. At all. As he didn't practice the joker in the practice session or qualifying. So I suppose that's a good time to practice, but he's lost 0.8 of a second to Attard in this last lap, but it doesn't necessarily matter, as the incident on lap 1 over the jump kind of muted the battle for anything, really. But Philip Kraus, off of oval turn 4, will win heat number 3, ahead of Cohen Attard, who will transfer as Micus and McDonald to the LCQ. As we begin gridding for the final heat race in Indianapolis. Josh Mertz on pole position, Matt Hartley, Marwan Moftah, and Doug DeNice getting ready for a final 6-lap race in Indianapolis. Green flag. Off the line, Moftah a little bit slow off the start. Hartley battling with Mertz through 3 and 4 of the oval. Very slow off the corner as we begin the race. Hartley over Mertz at the start-finish line. Into turn 1, very clean. Half a second gap already between Hartley and Mertz. The Aussie versus the German versus Egyptian Marwan Moftah in the 191. And Marwan has had a rough return to the NASA RallyCross Challenge. Remember, he came out of the gate on fire in 2018B, won those 2 races. I believe it was Daytona and Sonoma, if I remember correctly. And then won in 2019A, and then came back and hasn't really done much, but it really has not been good luck. Jokering is Hartley, Mertz on the outside. Side by side for the lead. Hartley runs it wide through turn 3. They're gonna be side by side over the jump, and Mertz looks like he'll try and take the lead from Hartley. Into the sweeper, they make contact. Hartley off the road, into the wall. And this race getting very good for the transfer. Hartley passes Moftah as they were side by side. Better run off the corner for Hartley, off the hairpin, through oval 3 and 4, still side by side. And these two had a huge battle in practice in Norway. Mertz jokers in the 2, Hartley in the 48, cuts down on car number 2, into turn 2, contact between them, and it pushes the 2 off the track. And Moftah on the 191 getting close now, so we'll put him in the transfer spot. So the 2 goes from 1st to 3rd in the matter of 1 corner. To the inside on Moftah. And what a battle this is becoming. And Doug Denai is 4 seconds behind these guys. If anything goes wrong, he'll take the advantage. Moftah and Mertz battling now. Side by side, Moftah will joker in the 191. I don't think this is going to help him, as it does not. He loses the transfer spot, exiting the joker. So on board car number 48, we'll take a look at the Delta times and how this Delta has swung in Hartley's favor. But I don't think the Australian has the pace over car number 2. To be quite honest, the MRT cars have been on pace in Indianapolis. They're both surprised as to how fast they are. Pole position in Heat 3 and Heat 4, they did seed 3rd and 4th in qualifying. So we take 2 to go. That Delta has shrank. Moftah in the 191, battling or waiting in the wings if this battle gets too crazy. Half a second gap between Hartley and Mertz. Into the sweeper. Peeking to the inside for a moment was car number 2, but that corner's so hard to do anything in. We will exit the road, exit the pit lane, onto the oval to begin the white flag. Gap has grown by 0.3 of a second. Doug Denai still in 4th, the former privateer champion. Moftah 3rd. Mertz in 2nd. Hartley in the lead. As there was no malicious intent, as Hartley did apologize over the radio. Didn't want that to happen, but it's a matter of rallycross. Will the 2 send it into the final corner, or will Hartley bring it home? He tried it, got very close, but I think Hartley's going to close this up. So Mertz will not win a heat race yet in 2020A. He gets defeated by Hartley in heat number 4, but at least he doesn't have to go through the C main. Mertz will transfer Moftah and Denai to the LCQ. So this is that crazy LCQ I was just talking about. It's called the B main still, because that's how the SDK Gaming names it, but 10 cars for 2 spots. I don't really have any words for this other than literally put your helmets on, buckle your seatbelts, everything like that. Looks like Ray Kingsbury, Chad Mikas, Marwan Moftah, Jacob Harberts, Daniel McDonald, There is Jan Gronquist, Travis Seymour, Austin Derbyshire, and, oh, by the way, points leader, Magnus Okenhog. 4 laps in Indianapolis. Put your hard hats on, really. I can't really tell you what's going to happen. Green flag. Magnus got a terrible start. Contact, it looks like, with Mofta and Denice. And Mikus leads his teammate as we begin lap number 1. Mikus out to a lead. Kingsbury battling with Harberts, the former teammates. And Magnus Okenhog in 4th, battling Harberts. Gronquist battling Seymour. And Seymour straight lines turn 3. And contact with Gronquist, McDonald, Derbyshire, Mofta, Denice. So 5, 6 cars in it. And Derbyshire over the jump into Gronquist, into Mofta. And everyone ping-pongs each other. And not a good debut for Travis Seymour. Locked it up and wrecks the field in the LCQ. But if your name is Mikus, Kingsbury, Okenhog, or Harberts, you love this because there's 6 cars out of the race, essentially. Okenhog, Jokers in the 26. Behind Mikus in the 9. As Chad Mikus thinks he's in a James Bond movie, two-wheeling through turn 1 for the 2nd consecutive lap. And the American, ahead of his teammate Ray Kingsbury. Mikus has not made a final in NASA Rallycross for quite some time. And Okenhog passes Kingsbury, so put the points leader in a transfer spot in Indianapolis. He looks, he peeked on Mikus in the 9. Into the hairpin. Can Okenhog get it done? Mikus nearly into the wall, and Okenhog takes the lead. So the Norwegian needs to make sure he gets into the final to hold his points lead, and he does it. Jokering is Kingsbury. Let's see if he will come out ahead of his teammate, or will they be battling? No contest. So we might not see Ray Kingsbury in the Indianapolis Grand Prix, but he's got 2 laps to get something done. Harberts in 4th. Gronquist has closed up in 5th, even though he ended up wrecked. Denice in 6th. 7th is McDonald. 8th is Seymour. 9th is Derbyshire. And 10th is Mofta. 2 cars will not get points for the Indianapolis Grand Prix, and right now it's looking like Derbyshire and Mofta. Kingsbury to the inside of his teammate Mikus. He makes the deal done. And Kingsbury to 2nd as we begin the white flag in the LCQ. And Mikus sees his final chances slip away from his teammate as his teammate pulls away. The LRL red cars will make the final in Indianapolis. The LRL blue cars will not. But Magnus Okenhog dodges a massive bullet in the points championship as he wins the B main, and he will seed 9th in Indianapolis. 10th will be Kingsbury, finishing 11th overall as Mikus. 12th will be Harberts. 13th, Jan Gronquist. 14th will be Doug Denice. 15th on debut, Travis Seymour in the 144. 16th in the final car to score a point, Marwan Mofta. 17th will be Derbyshire, and 18th is Daniel McDonald. Confirmation he did not take the Joker, so to avoid a worse penalty, he simply parked the car. So this is going to get very interesting to see who will win this race now that the points leader is in it. We know Jake Robertson on pole position, ahead of Matt Hartley, Philip Kraus, John Dipple, getting ready for 10 laps here in Indianapolis. So as we begin warm-up here in Indianapolis, let's run through our full points standings here entering the 5th round of the championship. Magnus Okenhog, 7 points ahead of Matt Hartley. I'm going to beat a dead horse, but Oakenhog really saved his championship potentially by making the final tonight in Indianapolis. Jake Robertson in third with 63 points. He's been on fire the last couple weeks, and we know he's stupid fast, and he's really gaining ground on the 2 points leaders. Philip Kraus in fourth, Kingsbury fifth, Dipple, Aish, Gronquist, Mertz, and Matt Kingsbury the top 10 in points. As Daniel McDonald, Cohen Attar, Jarrett Lieber only ran one race. It was the first race in Norway. Marwan Moftah, Sindre Silva ran only one race. He is not here. He ran last week in Norway. We haven't seen Devin Morgan since Daytona. Derbyshire, Harberts is down on points because he ended up not running the Norwegian races. Flynn Lazier not here. Guy Dorsich not here. Wett's not here. Erdman not here. Lugo Vickery. A lot of these guys not appearing, as Lambert needed a provisional. Denice in the 25th spot. No Living Good. No Thomas Keane. No Justin Bren. No Dawson. Cossack. Dan Ench. Hagenstein. And apparently, according to STK Gaming, Vicente Salas is still called Salad. So, can't really figure why that's a thing. But interestingly, unless that lap time's wrong, Mertz is leading. Nah, that's got to be wrong. 24 seconds is impossible around this track. As everyone trying to get their last second preparations. Yeah, I'm not really sure how it reflected 24 seconds, but let's really go off of Philip Kraus leading the warm-up session here. At a 39.890 ahead of Robertson, actually, 39.934. So the Canadian ahead of the British driver. That's actually really interesting because the Subaru doesn't handle very well on a worn track. The Ford comes in, grips into the sweeper very well, but making me to be a liar, as Philip Kraus ahead of Robertson. You'll notice they're half a second ahead of Dipple in the 34. As Matt Kingsbury, Daniel Aish, Ray Kingsbury. So 3 Fords, 7 Subarus, once again no Volkswagens. As, remember last week, Brandon Lambert, Dylan Smith, they moved from LMT Volkswagen to Spark VR LMT, getting support from Last Lap Motorsports. There's potentially a couple sponsors coming on the NASA RallyCross Challenge. We'll have to keep an eyeball, keep you posted. Spark VR potentially, and Sim Racer Coin. As of course we'll feature those partners if those partnerships come to fruition. But exciting times for the NASA RallyCross Challenge. Finally actually getting legitimate sponsors. Getting prize pools. Record amount of entries. So the Discord link posted at the bottom of every single results and points page. Feel free to join on the iRacing forums on the Discord every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And remember, next season, there will be live broadcasts on the Automotive Sports Network. So no more delays like this. Exciting times for the series, and exciting times for Magnus Oakenhog as he made the final in the LCQ. And the Norwegian, certainly by the skin of his teeth, made that final. Cohen Attard in the 131. Hartley, Kraus, everyone finishing up. As all the timing screens are pretty much broken at this point. Hartley, Kingsbury, Attard, Robertson. Well, Robertson's lap's probably legitimate, but Attard, Kingsbury, Hartley, all those laps kind of broken. As we close up, warm up in Indianapolis. And oh boy, this is going to be a great race. Confirmation on our warm-up results. Philip Kraus ahead of Jake Robertson by half a tenth. Mertz close by 3/10 behind his teammate Dipple Kingsbury, the top 5. This is going to be a stellar race. Every time I say that, you should give me $1. I'd be rich. But it's really true. 10 cars into turn 1 at this very tight Indianapolis circuit. The oval portion's fine, but that 90-degree into turn 1, I can't really tell you how that's going to go. Other than, again, put your hard hats on. We had 10 cars just a moment ago take that relatively cleanly, and then they crashed in turn 3. On pole position, Jake Robertson, John Dipple, Philip Kraus on the front row. So we have Matt Hartley, Daniel Aish, Cohen Attard, Josh Mertz, Ray Kingsbury, Magnus Okenhog, green flag, Matt Kingsbury. Rounding turns 3 and 4 of the oval to begin the first lap of the race. Attard makes contact with Kingsbury, so does Aish, and Dipple off the road. Into turn number 1. Aish into the 2 of Mertz, off the road, into the wall, and Kraus is around, and Mertz around as well. Off the road is Kraus and Aish. As Attard and Dipple, and Robertson loves this because he's pulled away. Kraus is letting everyone by because he cut the track there on the first lap of the race. So we'll wait for the dust to settle. It looks like Aish got to slow down as well as he stops on the left side of the track there in front of numerous cars, and the 2 and 33 make contact again. So as we begin the second lap of the race for the first lap of the rotation, Robertson leads. Jokering are both of the Kingsburys ahead of Hartley, Kingsbury, Okenhog, Kingsbury, Kraus, Attard, Dipple, Mertz, Aish. That is our running order in Indianapolis. Jokering, it looks like, is Dipple ahead of Mertz in the 34, ahead of the 2. And 4 seconds already for Jake Robertson in the 222. So let's just act like he doesn't exist. It's basically Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, Mercedes, all that fun stuff. Not hating, the guy is stupid fast. Hartley in second ahead of Kingsbury, and Okenhog managed to get from 9th to 4th, and Hartley jokers as well. Okenhog on the outside of Kingsbury side by side into turn number 2. Very tricky to get right. That dirt gets very loose on that second corner. Okenhog couldn't get the deal done. Kingsbury in 5th. 6th is Philip Kraus. As Cohen Attard ahead of Dipple, ahead of Mertz. 7th through 9th, and Daniel Aish in the 10th position. From high above, Kingsbury, Okenhog. Kingsbury, Hartley finishes his strategy, comes out near the 21, and gets nudged by the 21 of Kingsbury. Hartley is, he's not very fast, and it's very odd. He's off pace, and he's normally on pace in the 48, but for the last couple weeks, that car has been off pace, and he's getting swallowed up by the last lap Fords. Into the hairpin, Okenhog gets nudged by Kingsbury. This accordion is closing up the field, actually. As remember how crazy that first lap was. Everyone kind of getting closed up. Okenhog jokers, and that might be a commitment line violation. That was a dodgy entrance to the joker for Okenhog, and that's not what he needs. But we'll have to wait and see once the results pop up. Remember, any commitment line violations from the sim are unprotestable. So we'll see what happens to the results in a few moments' time. 7.2 seconds is the gap. Like I said, the lead's pretty much sealed for Robertson once he gets out and away from the rest of the field. Hartley, Kingsbury, Okenhog, and Kingsbury, the rest of the top 5. Side by side, Kraus with Kingsbury. Side by side, Okenhog with Kingsbury. It's Ray, then Matt in those respective battles, and defending champion Kraus trying to close the gap on Ray Kingsbury. Can't make it happen. Into turn number 1. He gets a nudge almost in car number 1. As Hartley pulling away, there's battles between, it looks like that's Attard with Dipple. Side by side over the jump is Matt Kingsbury with Philip Kraus, as Matt had a terrible run through turn 3. And Hartley in the 48, still in second. Let me give you a treat on board Jake Robertson. There's a lot of contact here as we just missed it. We'll try and get a replay. Try and see here what happened. Dipple side by side with Mertz, and Kingsbury drives into him. Not really sure what happened there. And then Ray Kingsbury as well had some contact, so while we're taking a look at that, we will also get a further replay. Hits the wall into Kraus. So a lot of ping-ponging happening here in Indianapolis. But Robertson still leads. The gap has shrank a little bit, so I feel like he might have potentially spun in the 222. Not that it necessarily matters with 3 laps to go. Hartley second, Okenhog third, Kraus in fourth. Attard fifth, Ray Kingsbury now sixth, Aish in seventh, battling with Dipple as Mertz in ninth, ahead of Matt Kingsbury. So Hartley ahead of Okenhog. This is going to help him in the championship. As remember, Okenhog had that dodgy Joker entrance. So I don't entirely know if he will get a penalty for that. He hits the wall in the 26. 2 to go for Robertson. 6.5 seconds over Matt Hartley. And how everything keeps changing. Fastest lap, 39.766, half a second faster than the rest of the field. Everything that this kid does, as he spins it right on cue there in the 222, and it doesn't even hurt him. He hit the wall, it looks like, spun it in the sweeper. Only shrinks his gap by 2 seconds. White flag for Jake Robertson in the 222. As Mertz battling with Matt Kingsbury. This is for 9th. And they're battling like this is for the race win as they take the white flag. Through the final corner on the oval. He did it again, survived turn 1, and dominates to take the win. Robertson victorious in Indianapolis ahead of his potential championship rivals, Matt Hartley and Magnus Okenhog. Kraus comes home 4th on the road. 5th is Attard. 6th is Ray Kingsbury. 7th will be John Dipple. 8th, Daniel Aish. 9th, Matt Kingsbury. And it looks like 10th is Mertz as he pulled it off the road. Confirmation on the results of the Indianapolis Grand Prix, as it looks like several drivers did get a commitment line violation. Magnus Okenhog, Philip Kraus, and getting word that Mertz did, but Mertz parked the car anyway, so it doesn't necessarily matter. So unofficial results: Robertson, Hartley, Attard your podium ahead of Kingsbury, Okenhog, and Dipple. Aish, Kraus, Matt Kingsbury, and Josh Mertz. As the B main results, the LCQ, this is 11th through 18th. Micus, Harberts, Gronquist, Nice, Mofta, Derbyshire, Seymour, and McDonald. As we take a look at the points standings, as we're about to close it up here in Indianapolis. Speaking of closing it up, 1 point between Okenhog and Hartley. Robertson, 4 points back, so it's all to play for at the top. Philip Kraus in 4th, Ray Kingsbury 5th, Dipple, Aish, Mertz, Matt Kingsbury, and Cohen Attard, the top 10. Under the lights in Indianapolis, it never disappoints. And next week in Iowa, it will be equally as exciting. Congratulations to Jake Robertson on another dominating win here in Indianapolis. From all of us here at ASN, we'll see you next week in Iowa. But until then, so long, everyone.